This week on Geeks of Nexus, the community is core. The free-to-play bomb has exploded. Servers go under continuing maintenance. Lag is king, and don't let our lore draken you down. All this and so much more on this week's episode of Geeks of Nexus.
A world forged in conflict, claimed as homeland by the exiles, conquered as territory by the Dominion. There is only one whose words we can trust. Geeks of Nexus.
And welcome to Geeks of Nexus. This is episode number 20 for Sunday the 4th of October 2015. I'm your host Draycass, and we have an extra special show for you this week, being as we're in a new era of free-to-play. We have two new hosts with me. Firstly, I'll introduce someone that some of you should know already if you follow other Epic Geeks podcasts. We have Britzza. Hello, Britzza.
Hello!
How are you doing?
I'm not too bad, thank you. I'm scared. I'm in Wildstar things.
It'll be fine. I'll hold your hand. It's all right.
Thank you.
And also joining us from the Guild Wars 2 podcast called Guild Gab, we have Akasaurus Rex.
Hey.
Hello.
I'm actually not Fat Albert, but how you doing?
Very good, thank you. I did get that right. It's Guild Gab, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Guild.
Yes, I remembered. So this week has been a very big week in Wildstar. For those of you that don't know, if you've been hiding under a rock, Wildstar has now gone free to play. Yay!
Yay!
So I
Monty
bought
Python, yay!
Monty Python, yay! Lots of yays. So I brought you two guys on with me today because you have either just started Wildstar or haven't started Wildstar. So I thought it would be a kind of interesting kind of view on things this week to kind of get things going. So if I just start off with you, Britzza, what limited knowledge do you have of Wildstar?
Okay. Limited is probably a huge understatement. Wildstar is an MMO. Let's start with that.
Yes, well done.
And go from there.
That basics. It's also a video game.
Exactly. And it brings people together. Yeah, I have a very, very basic understanding. I'm one of these people who has watched the sort of announcement that it's gone free to play, and like a lot of people downloaded it as soon as it went free to play, but I didn't get a chance to play because there were these queues that literally, if you're free to play, you have to join one. Very long queues, which is a good sign, I think. But on the other hand, because of those queues, I've decided that I'm probably, and this seems crazy to think, I'm actually going to probably sub up to the game just to avoid the queues and have a bit of fun. Plus the perks that they get for actually subbing, where you get huge XP bonus and things like that. It has actually mean that I probably want to sub. So I think I've fallen into the trap.
Well, we still have queues. The sub players still have queues at the moment, but maybe not quite as long. I don't know how long they are.
I think I joined a queue of 4,000.
Okay, mine wasn't that long. No.
Yeah.
No. So Akasaurus Rex, I know because you told me that you jumped into Wildstar before it went free to play, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I was following Wildstar back with the hype before it actually released when it did, because I was just when I get into something, I tend to be kind of like a remora on a shark, and I just like suck onto it and eat every little scrap out. I thought that would be like a better comparison than the Parasite, but yeah, it's just I've been like following since for I mean I was like there for the initial launch, and then like a lot of people kind of petered off. I'm really broke, so this kind of free to play thing is really cool, and I actually love the actual model that they have for Wildstar. Like it I understand. I think a few other MMOR games have something similar, but I just really like it because it truly is not like a pay-to-play type thing. And if I had the money, or when I do get the money, I would definitely love to get to the sub model, because the sub model just feels like you're kind of just like saying thanks, Carbine, and Carbine's like, here, have a lot of little fancy frosting on your cake, and it's kind of like, I like cake, and it's just it's just really cool. I just really like the style, and just I could go on for why
we all like cake. We all like cake. It'd be interesting to see your views comparing it to sort of Guild Wars 2 and Britzza, of course, with WoW and other MMOs that you've played. So just to start off the podcast, I should do my intro really, but I haven't done anything in Wildstar, mainly because of the queues issue. I've hopped in a couple of times on my ult, and the guilds haven't raided because of sort of launch issues, which we're going to get into in a bit. So I'm not going to get too much into that. But the start out, shout outs, and calls to action, which I've got at the very beginning of the show notes. The first one is for Wildstar Core. Some of you might know, if you've heard other podcasts or seen Twitter, etc., that Wildstar Core did close a couple of weeks ago due to time restraints of the people running it. Samurai Cav was basically there running the whole site on his own, and a big news site like that is very, very hard to run with just one person. So they made the decision to close it down. However, there was a huge upsurge in the community. A lot of the content guys within Wildstar all got together, decided to get in contact with Samurai Cav and see if we could kind of offer our services to help keep the site going. And I'm very pleased to say that Wildstar Core is up and running again, and we've all kind of pulled together to help out. Samurai Cav is heading it up, doing all his awesome news and patch notes, etc. as ever. But also there's some new people doing some sort of extra content for him. So there's it's TJ is doing a new Hollow show, amongst other things, where he shows off people's nice costumes and outfits. Akasaurus Rex, you might like that, little costumes. Our very own Carrot Greenleaf is doing a housing spotlight. I am doing Secrets of Nexus, which you might like. It's where I go around Nexus, basically finding all the little secret places and achievements that people might not stumble across themselves, just so people can see different things. And Sparky did some PvE basics. For those of you that are new to the game and want to know how to start with the combat, etc., that is very well worth it. And there's going to be lots of new guides going up over the next few weeks, so hop along to wildstar-core.com, take a look at that. And if you are a content creator yourself, a Wildstar content creator should I say, and you want to get involved in Wildstar Core and help out, whether that's doing guides, blogs, or just videos in general, then contact Samurai Cav on Twitter, and he is at Samurai Cav, or hop along to the website. We would like to hear from you. So that's that.
That's awesome.
Awesome. It's a good community effort, that one. I have to say.
I think. Can I give? Sorry.
Yes. Carry on.
Oh, I was just gonna say. Can I give like a teeny tiny self plug that I'm actually hoping to become, or I'm going to make a teeny tiny little weekly Wildstar show of my own. Yes. Probably starting today. I'm going to start filming video of it. So that's actually really great information you just said there. I'm going to try and is the last part of it Samurai Cav, as in like Cav muscle?
K-A-V. So
K-A-V. Okay.
Samurai, as in samurai. I think it's what. And then Cav. K-A-V.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
We should start charging commission. We're just getting great numbers of sign-ups here.
Yes. All the extra people that go through from us. So, on September the 29th, there was the Wildstar free-to-play midnight launch. Did either of you watch the midnight launch?
Yes.
I think the fact it had midnight in the title prevented me.
You were asleep. Well, you see, this is the thing. I woke up at 4 in the morning to catch the end of it. I think it started about 3 in the morning our time, and I think I got the email saying that the stream had gone live, and I was kind of half awake, half not awake with the Twitch on about 3 in the morning, and finally got up at 4 in the morning to watch it properly. But it was actually very good fun as launches go.
Yeah, I'd say so.
What was your favourite part of the stream itself?
For me, I think I was only watching kind of bits and pieces of it. I just remember like downloading all the new stuff and just like waiting for the hour countdown.
The countdown.
And then I just kind of jumped on it. I think I was like jumping around all kinds of things. I just caught like a little bit of like DD and crew and stuff doing their thing. But I mean, yeah, like Carbine devs are usually pretty fun to watch when they're goofing around.
They were on it. I'm not entirely sure they were all sober that night, I'll be honest.
I doubt it.
I don't blame them.
Especially the ones over in New York. They had like the Times Square countdown of the new trailer, which was awesome, I have to say.
Yes, it was.
Have you both seen the new trailer?
I have.
Oh,
It
yes.
is fun. It is. I think it sums up probably what Wildstar's niche is trying to be, which is just a little bit. I don't know. I hope I'm not offending anyone by saying where you look at things like World of Warcraft, where they're obviously quite serious about their fantasy in their trailers and their lore. I think it's nice that Wildstar's been a bit tongue-in-cheek, relaxed with theirs, because I think that's really what the player base is looking for, a nice, relaxed MMO. So I really thought it caught the sort of tone of Wildstar perfectly, and really actually won me over. I think watching the end of that really did convince me that Wildstar's at least worth a go if you haven't tried it already. I mean, it's free for play, for God's sake, so why not? But it's the trailer definitely won me over.
That's interesting you say that, because I thought it was a different direction for their trailers as well. Normally they had the little kind of jokey trailers with the big voice man and everything else, and this was kind of a little bit different, maybe a slightly different style to what I've done before, and I wasn't sure how non-Wildstar players would see it, so it's interesting that you see that. What were your thoughts on it, Akasaurus?
Well, I believe sent you what I did to that trailer.
You did? I forgot about that until you mentioned it.
I'm scared.
Yes, Tom, do you by any chance remember a little cartoon from the 1980s made by my fellow eccentric Canadians called The Raccoons?
I do remember The Raccoons. Yes, I do.
And do you by any chance remember the really awesome, super, super cheesy song at the very end called Come Run With Us? It's like, come run with us. We got passion in our eyes, or something like that.
Very good rendition.
Something like that.
Anyways, I've always gotten this kind of cool 80s vibe from Wildstar, like, and also I just love 80s rock pop music, period, so I kind of am always thinking about that, but Wildstar does have this kind of fun, like, woo aspect to it, and that trailer really did, and for some reason I just kept hearing that raccoon song in my head, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna find it, and I found it, and then I was like, I wonder how it would go, so I like tried my first time kind of doing this, like putting that song to that trailer, and it actually just fit.
It did work really, really well. Surprisingly well.
I have to check this
it's
out.
really cute.
Yeah,
just like just having like come run with us, and you'll probably find it. But I just love that song. I was like listening to that song like I swear like 50 times, and I still wasn't getting sick of it. I'm just like rocking in my chair.
It's just how it fitted well with the trailer, though. That's what got me. It did fit very well. And you're right, the 80s theme. Thinking about the fact they're doing the Z-Pre Invitational with the thingy races.
Oh yeah.
Which is you're getting all the links to Back to the Future. So we're going back to the 80s.
Well, isn't the name of that sheep Rosdower? Isn't that from Mystery Science Theater 3000? Like an episode of that?
I don't know. I've never heard of that. What's that?
Well, it's Mystery Science Theater 3000 is this.
Google that.
Oh yeah, it's really quite funny actually. It was back in the 90s, and it's basically just this low tech guy with his like puppets that he makes, and they basically kind of like take really bad old films, and you basically see like outlines of them at the bottom right, and they just kind of make fun of it as they're watching it, and it doesn't sound that exciting, but they're actually ridiculously funny guys, and they just like will like make your sides split. And they did do this one movie, this terrible 80s movie that was actually filmed here in Alberta, hence it being so bad. If you want to see what white trash 80s Canadians look like, you can try to find the show. And there was this guy in a pickup truck with this horrible mullet, and his name is Rosdower. and I think that's who they're talking about because like the like guys like making fun of it, like this Rosdower guy in his 40s, like overweight guy, whatever, like befriends this little kid, and like the kid's like Rosdower, and it's just like and they just make fun of it mercilessly, and I think Carbine is aware of that. I found
it. American TV series, Mystery Science Theater 3,197 television episodes.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'll like have to like tweet you like the actual episode thing, but yeah, I'm not too sure. We'd have to find out from the Carbine devs if that's actually what they're referencing. But if it is, wow, like it's just really funny, and yeah,
it would go along with the humour, wouldn't it? It would definitely continue that. So from an awesome launch and an awesome trailer came the floodgates, should I say? Now, when I first hopped on at 5 a.m, I got straight into the game, surprisingly, because in the EU most people were asleep, so there was still surprisingly a lot of people up for the opening, ready to hop in, but it wasn't too bad. However, when I went back at about 3 p.m, it was a slightly different story. Which is why I wanted you two to come on to talk about launches in general with MMOs, because they never go smoothly, do they?
No.
No.
I was very optimistic for this because I thought, well, technically it's not a relaunch, but then of course they've had to completely redo the game, in theory, and a lot more people I think jumped in than they were even Carbine were expecting. Let's talk about our experiences with MMO launches in general. Why don't they go smoothly?
I don't know this.
Who wants to start with that one?
Well, Tom, I'm guessing you remember well the Warlords of Draenor launch, which I think should go down in infamy.
Yeah, I'm tearing up actually. That's why I'm not talking as much. It really is.
The trauma,
really sore spot.
The horror.
I guess, I mean, everyone, or I imagine a lot of people know how the Warlords of Draenor launch went down. And for those who don't know, it was launch day and the game didn't work. Quite literally, didn't work for several days, to the extent that Blizzard actually refunded every player 5 days worth of subscription because practically no one had a chance to play the game. And I remember those first few days and it was awful. You couldn't complete quests, you couldn't do anything. I remember flying back to my garrison and I was stuck in the air with 40 other players who couldn't land.
You're stuck in the air.
Stuck in the air. I've got a screenshot somewhere. If I can find it, I'll upload it. But it was awful. And I guess from WoW's perspective, it was just, I think the general view was that the game was just not properly finished. I mean, we've come out to realise that Warlords of Draenor as an expansion was kind of changed throughout its development and through its launch and its cycle. So things were played about. So clearly it wasn't in a polished state. And, I think all companies have that problem where they launch the game and just the user base, just releasing it to whether it's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands or millions of players. Obviously the game's not going to fully react in the same way that it was when it was in closed beta, or other things might play about. So you'll obviously always have those little technical issues, but sometimes the game just isn't finished, and Warlords needed to be finished properly. So yeah, that's WoW side of things. WoW has had some fairly successful launches in the past, but I think it's really just come down to perhaps higher subscriptions, more players trying to get in.
Well, I mean, like that because that was really freaking shocking, because there was over 14 months of nothing in WoW. So they had over 14 months, and tap on top of that the at least 2 years of development time they actually were spending on this expansion. And it's like, you guys can't even do that. You guys are getting, how many millions are you guys have? I like to joke around that the Blizzard devs have actual mattresses stuffed full of the money that they get from all the subs for over 10 years, that they have to constantly refresh every day with fresh bills that they stuff in there. And it's kind of it's what the hell? And then but it seems crazy, because even when this gigantic juggernaut can have that much problems and be that unprepared and kind of be like, "Duh, we didn't expect so many people suddenly," and to like and then to always see it that every MMORPG seems to have these problems is kind of bizarre. Like I'm starting to get kind of I am a bit anxious because this month at the end is when the Guild Wars 2 expansion is coming out, and it's kind of like
coming for you next.
Yeah, because like it's been 3 years since Guild Wars 2 launched, and this is the first expansion they've ever done. It's the first one, and it's kind of like, oh boy, there's gonna be. I'm just kind of like bracing myself for like the flood, and like the dam's gonna like blow open. It's gonna be like, oh, what's gonna happen here? I mean, like for the most part, I got to say for this Wildstar one, I didn't find it too bad. Like, I mean, Dre's kind of like you. I actually was able to get in pretty quick, off and on. Like, it's very iffy. Sometimes I couldn't get in. Sometimes I could get right in. There was some lag, but I'm taking my time, and I have a sort of tortoise metabolism, so I'm totally fine to take it slow and easy. But from what I have seen, it's been really refreshing to see all the tiny little updates to the story flow, which I'm loving to bits, especially the very intro, like on the Ark ship itself. I love what they've done there, and I love all the other little extra bits, and it's making it so much more fun flowing. And I love that you have this default run, which is kind of why I chose that song from the Raccoons to come run stuff.
Yeah, I can see that now.
I just love running around with like my Drakens like tail whipping everywhere. I'm like, woohoo! I'm like zipping everywhere. So I gotta say, like, so far, the Wildstar launch has been fairly smooth, considering that, as you're saying, they kind of had to literally reload this game. And so far, from my perspective, it seems to be going okay, and I'm totally fine to give Carbine and devs time to address this. And they've been fairly good at like reacting to people responding. It hasn't been anywhere near as bad, just as Tom was explaining a lot of details with the Warlords one, because that was just the biggest cluster beep of the universe.
This is exactly why I wanted you guys in, because obviously, naturally, there are people flaming on the forums and on Reddit and everywhere else about the issues that they're having. And welcome, by the way, to all the new people out there. And yes. Please bear with the game. Hopefully you have had a chance to sort of jump in and see how awesome it really is, because when it does settle down or gets back to normal, it is going to run much smoother than it did, I'm pretty sure. And like you're saying, with the new leveling experience is much better than it was as well. But in terms of sort of how launches go, all I've really seen people sort of having problems with is the lag issues, the queues. There's been some kind of bouncing on and off as well. When you try and log in, you get kicked off the character screen and kind of go back again as well. But it seems to be more of an issue with the amount of people in there.
Yes. And
as opposed to it being sort of something that's massively game breaking. I mean, I know it has caused people not to be able to run instances. People haven't been able to raid and things like that. But within the first week, I kind of think that's excusable for an MMO.
Oh yeah.
Plus, I think one interesting thing to sort of think about in light of Wildstar having a relatively smooth reintroduction is that, like all launches, like especially like the WoW one, Wildstar has relaunched and had this huge influx of not only old players but returning players and largely new players. So when you have this situation, let's say for example, at any one time 1% of the player base are going to complain about a feature of your game, and then you relaunch. Well, for WoW, we went from around 6-7 million to 10 million. So that's a huge increase in the number of people who will potentially complain and lash out about the game and whatnot, now that they've just spent 40 quid on the expansion and so on and so forth. And then on top of that, Wildstar's had this huge influx as well, but they've been able to manage it rather well. I haven't seen too many problems. And
they're a much smaller team as well, making a lot less money sort of in comparison to sort of other games. And what I have liked about the way Carbine have addressed it is they are keeping the channels of communication open, which
they're very good at that. They're very good at that.
Much better than Blizzard.
That was what I was going to say. A lot
Blizzard's,
better than...
oh, good gods, man! It's like
They just shut down, don't they? It's like they put their head in the sand and don't want to talk to anybody. No, not saying anything.
They did like more than that. They put their heads in the sand, put a giant like fortress around their butts to make sure like no one could actually get in. Because just as like Tom was saying, yeah, it like spiked back up to 10 million or plus, and I think now it's like less than 5 million mostly, and this is like almost like 9 months after they launched, and that's mostly due to what happens when your devs are kind of like going all over the place and kind of like not communicating with their fans and their players and not giving them respect, because a lot of them were like, I do love World of Warcraft because I've been into been into that the franchise like since it was an RTS like over 20 years ago. So for me, it's kind of like I'm married to the damn thing. It's like I can't, let go. It's like that deep inside of me, man. It's like back when like frickin' grunge was a thing. It's like I was into Warcraft, and but it's like my God, like the devs now are just. It's shocking. And one of the things that I would promote about Wildstar that I love about these guys is like some may say, oh well, Wildstar had some really rocky ground for the last while, but I don't think you can blame that on the devs. They are so open. That's what I love. Like the devs are actually communicating, whereas like I'm like lucky to get a simple like from one of the Blizzard devs, if that, whereas Carbine devs actually communicate with me, and it's like, oh my God, like a simple little grunt like me is getting responded from the game devs, whereas like the almighty Blizzard is like, oh, you like they'll like, it's like you're like lucky to like blow your nose on the curtails of their robes or something, but it's just yeah, I just think it can never be understated how important that communication is, and I think the Carbine devs are really, really good at that kind of democracy that MMO games are showing. Is that when the devs now mess up, like the stuff that Blizzard has done, which has been spectacular. Like Dre, like the stuff Tom and I could probably tell you about. The bloopers Blizzard has made is like astronomical, and it's beautiful to see Carbine being able to respond like all through, like from their first launch up to this point. I've always been really impressed at the way that they reply and interact with their player base and community, and so I think it's on a very strong foundation. So if anyone is thinking about jumping into this game, like you really are in really loving hands as far as the devs go, and like you can like hit them up and say, hey, the community manager Dee, she's really sweet. She actually responds to you. And it just makes you feel like you're part of that community. And that you're like not just a customer giving $60 million. You're part of it.
Exactly, and that's a good thing about being a content creator as well, is that you actually get some feedbacks from the developers. Whether it's through Twitter or through email, or when they're on a stream, they have their weekly stream, and they communicate with everyone on there. It's nice to have that kind of contact with them, and you feel like you can just contact them and ask them questions or get feedback on the content you put out and things like that, which is quite refreshing for an MMO. So, first thoughts then, Akasaurus, as a new player to Wildstar. I know you sort of played originally, but from when you've come back this time, a month or 2 months ago, coming from Guild Wars 2, what have you found hard or easy about getting into the game? What can sort of new players expect when they hop into Wildstar?
Well, I mean, if you're familiar with the traditional MMORPG style, it's the fun thing I like about Wildstar is that it's not trying to reinvent the wheel, and I actually think that's kind of a plus, because like a lot of MMO games want to do that. They're like, look at the way we're completely remastering everything. It's like Wildstar isn't doing that, and I love the actual aesthetics of the game. Like the things that keep me invested in this game are, I mean, like the gameplay is still one of the best. It's really solid, but I actually really love the lore and the tone and the story of games. Like that's what keeps me in, and it's one of the few that has like space lizards that I can play as, the Draken. So that makes me happy because I'm a huge reptile fan, and so I mean, it has so many wonderful little touches and improvements of a kind of WoW style game that's just like it's kind of like there's a ton, and so from what I used to play from it, from what it is now, it really is just like, if you have like again, to use a cake metaphor, it's like, if you have a plain cake and then it's like they literally just sprinkle in all these wonderful extra frosting bits and just like improve the flour or something. It's just so much more pleasing, and everything's just running really smoothly, and I really appreciate that, because originally I found things to be a bit a little too open-ended, and a lot of times, for better or worse, a lot of MMORPG players do kind of want to, even those who love lore and story like myself, that you do kind of want to efficiently run through the zones, and you want to know where to go, and you want to get through it, especially if you're an altaholic and you love making characters. It's very alt friendly, I think, now, because you can really go A, B, C, D and just kind of quickly go through it, but it's a fun experience, and it's just so much smoother, and I think that answered it. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. I mean, the level experience now is much better for those people that maybe played last year and found it a little bit grindy, which it was last year, I completely admit. They've made the initial quests much smoother, and like bringing the Drusilla lore a little bit earlier at level 15.
Yes.
With the Alpha Sanctum, sort of bringing you straight into the lore very early on. Kind of those people that like lore and like getting into the story will definitely like that, I think, and find the leveling experience much more user friendly than it used to be. And yeah, I'm a bit of an alcoholic, so I don't mind that at all, especially with my extra XP and everything that I get. But the combat, I think, is something that stands out in Wildstar especially. Tom, I don't know if you've sort of managed to see how the combat is in Wildstar.
I have seen it played, at least. I've been trying to sort of watch people sort of going into the game and whatnot, because I think letting me loose without any knowledge is just dangerous. Especially for any groups.
It is anyway, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, no, I have seen it, and to be honest, I think in some ways, coming out, I'm still playing WoW, and I'm still intending to. So any Geeks of Azeroth listeners, don't worry, I haven't come here to moan and whine about WoW. But it's, I think, going from WoW's sort of newish combat style, because it's developed over the last expansion or so, and going into Wildstar, I'm really interested, because I think MMOs need to move towards this more active, dynamic, and probably a little bit more fun way of having fights and PvE battles. I mean, there's AoE and things you've got to dodge in WoW, but not to the extent that Wildstar had from the very beginning, and improving on it. I think it offers something new, which is something I'll get onto later when we talk about survivability. But I'm really excited, and I think it's good that Wildstar's is sticking to what it stands out for.
It'd be interesting to see if you come back after you've actually hopped in the game, because we're going to play a bit this week when you're back and able to play. So it'll be interesting to see what you think, having sort of come from WoW, playing Wildstar, what you think about the combat system, and how they've kind of gone about with the double jumps and the rolls. And because what I found is, when I went back to WoW after playing Wildstar, I was annoyed that I couldn't roll and double jump. I was like, why can't I dash out of the way?
You won't have double jump for an expansion still in WoW. That's just coming as a novelty for one class. So imagine it's quite a shock. Interestingly, which dev do I complain to that my class is underpowered and all the others need to be nerfed? Just in advance, because I know I will need to make that complaint at some point.
Probably, I would go for Chad Moore.
Fantastic.
Well, he's the creative director, so maybe not. I don't know. Or Mick Whipple. He's the ex-WoW dev.
Awesome.
Sorry?
Oh, I was just saying that I pretty much always play warriors, and they're just generally awesome.
Yeah, you like the old melee class. Yeah, I'm more of a ranged player, so I like my ranged.
I like smashing things.
Yeah. I like standing out the way and just hitting everyone else. But for those people that maybe like...
lady, whereas I like to smash into things like a freaking rhino.
For those listeners that might like healing are wondering how healing goes in Wildstar, because that's kind of been where I've come from other MMOs. I've always gone for healing classes, and I found that in Wildstar the healing is much more dynamic. Like when I was in WoW, doing my raiding in WoW, most of the time I was just sitting there watching Voodoo, which is the add-on that I used to use for my healing, which is sort of the green bars, and I was just clicking them, making sure no one got, too low, whilst also trying to dodge stuff on the floor. But it wasn't a very kind of immersive experience for me because of that, because I was pretty much just looking at the green bars. Whereas I find that in Wildstar, I'm able to just play. It's a bit like being a DPS. I can just play, use my skills, use my talents, see what's going on, and it's much more dynamic in terms of healing as well. I can't talk about tanks because I'm not a tank, so I don't know. But that's my thoughts on that. I'm going to move on now to the Wildstar lore. For those of you that are new to the podcast, we do a lore segment each week. And we've also got them all up on our YouTube channel, Official Epic Geeks, if you want to go back and listen to part 1. We've got a playlist there for all of the Wildstar lore. It's taken from the official Wildstar website, so we just kind of put it in a little bit more of a dynamic term for you, so you haven't got to go and read it, because not everyone likes reading, do they? So this week is Conquest of the Draken, part 1. Yay!
Conquest of the Draken, Part 1, An Unlikely Challenge. Emperor Azrian stood before the High Clan Lord. His small honor guard, dwarfed on all sides by the thousands of Draken, curious to behold the shiny visitors from the stars. Xur sat, contemptuously regarding them. He had ceased listening to their empty genuflections long ago. He felt no respect for these soft, hornless maggots and their bright, hard shells and weapons that killed from afar. Just as he was opening his mouth to order the slaughter of these insolent trespassers, Azrian's voice rang out, echoing across the vast plain in the Draken's age-old tongue.
By the sacred ways of Mikros, I, Azrian, son of Dominus the Half-Blood, challenge you, Clan Lord Xur, here and now, for command of both our races and all the lives they comprise.
Grunts of outrage and barks of laughter rippled throughout the throng, reaching Xur's ears as a steady patter of barely suppressed bloodlust. As judging from his fluency in the one tongue, the invader was doubtless aware his challenge meant combat to the death. But Xur sensed no fear, only tightly coiled certainty. His poise was as flawless as any foe that Xur had ever faced, and he had slain many.
By the old ways, let it be done,
Xur rumbled. Xur himself led the way to the fields of Khazor, each stripped to their waist and was given a blade forged in the fires of Mount Crucible. Their gazes locked. A hush fell over the massive arena. Xur licked his lip, tasting the familiar coppery tang of glory to come. Then he launched forward, swinging.
Hey, paper, read all about it. Hey, Grano, hey, big bouncer, eat some of this nose over here. Hey, chewer, this broadsheet's bigger than you. Hey, come on, guys, it's only 60 gold. Get back here.
News of the week.
So this week's news of the week is quite a simple one. I'm just going to go over the Wildstar launch update, which was put out on October the 2nd on the Wildstar stream, which is every Friday on the Twitch channel, Wildstar Twitch channel. And this week there was Chris Thomas, the lead software engineer, who's been working very, 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 very hard over the last week. Chad Moore, the creative director, and Omid Dariani, the community and social director. And they were basically came on to grovel to the masses and say, please bear with us. We are working really hard. And what I found quite interesting was they put out a tweet sort of in the middle of the week because they were sent some boxes of pizzas from one of the community websites. So they had these pizzas and they tweeted like a thank you for the pizzas. They obviously sent to them to help them during their hard week of working sort of stupid hours and trying to get this game to work properly. And people actually started complaining that they were eating pizzas. They were like tweeting them going, why are you eating pizza? You should be fixing servers. Get back to work.
How dare you eat? How dare they take time to eat?
They were like, we are people. We do need to eat and sleep still. Like, we're not going to kill people. So I did think that was quite funny. Bless them.
May we still go to the washroom? No, you poop in your seat.
Stay at your desk and work.
You shit and crap on your... Sorry, yeah, sorry language.
It's fine. So, yeah, please, give them a break. They are people. They need to eat. And feel free to send them stuff if you want to. But it was quite nice that they bought them pizzas. That's it.
Yeah.
So they basically went over the concerns that people have been having. Obviously, server lag was a sort of big issue. And to combat that, they bought in some extra servers. So they've basically been running on the mega servers since the sort of end of last year. Because it was this big cycle that happened last year where at the beginning when they launched there was far too many players trying to get into the game, so they put out a load of servers to be able to cope with it, and then quite a few people left, so that made those servers very empty. So they merged all the servers into a big mega server, or PvP server and a PvE server in each area, and that server, or the mega servers, couldn't really cope well with all the extra people as they thought it would. So they brought out some extra servers, they're sort of sister servers, if you like. So if you're in Lumini, there's now Lumini 2. If you're on Jabbit, there's a Jabbit 2. And some people were sort of upset that it took them a while to bring out these extra servers, but they did come out and explain that they wanted to make sure that the servers they brought out were able to merge eventually with the mega servers. So they are going to go back to one big server once they sort out the issues. And they didn't want to sort of put a patch on it. They wanted to fix it properly. So they wanted a solution, not a band-aid, is how they kind of explained it. Now the interesting thing that a lot of you might like about this is that if you hop over to the sister server now, so for example I'm on Jabbit, if I decide that the lag's a bit too much, I want to hop over to Jabbit 2 and play there instead. If you create any character slots over on the new servers, when you merge back, you'll gain all of these characters. So
even if you're on a free-to-play?
Yes, free character slots until you delete them, it says. And then you'll need to purchase slots again. So basically, there's no cap on the number you can gain. So if you've got 12 tunes per server, when the servers merge, you'll have 24.
Oh, wow.
24. Obviously, if you're on the free-to-play, you haven't got the 12 servers. But if you have bought a box set, you'll have the 12 characters. So if you're able to, however many you can have, if you create them on the sister server, when they merge, you'll have 22 characters. It's almost like a little thank you for you having to move over. There's also server first achievements on those new servers if you're looking for them. They might have all gone by now, but if you're quick, you might hop over and get some server first before the merges. Cool. What do you think about that in a sense of them creating the sister servers to cope with the extra stress, and then eventually merging them sort of back together? I mean, their view of looking at it is they want everyone to play together because it makes it easier for friends to play, etc., and things like that. Do you think that's a positive move, Akasaurus?
Yes. Yeah, I do think it is, because it's better than them just doing a kind of old-fashioned default thing. Let's make new servers, because the problem there is that even though we're excited and happy for all the new flux of people coming in, and it's great, MMORPG players en masse can be a little bit flighty. They may not stay the course per se, and I think it's good to stick to the idea of this mega server for each, like PvP, and just allow it to be able to expand and contract kind of naturally that way, which is how I'm kind of looking at a giant bulbous thing going like as like the populations fluctuate, because you really can't tell. And even though Carbine wants these populations to stay, I think in the back of their minds, without them wanting to publicly say it, they're kind of like, well, just in case everyone decides to ditch us, then
they've been spurned before.
Exactly. We've been burned once by you lovers. It's like we're more cagey this time. But so I think that's a lot smarter than just like doing the traditional, like, let's make tons of new servers as other MMORPGs might do. So I think it's smart.
Yeah, I mean, they've basically said that the problem, or the one thing that's wrong with the mega servers, is one little process which is being overtaxed at the moment by all the extra people, which is causing the issues, and they haven't quite worked out how to fix it yet. So by creating the sister servers, it gives them that little bit of time to sort of fix the main issue, but they don't want to just split everybody up to start with. They'd much rather everyone was able to come back together eventually. So it's kind of like it's a temporary server that everyone will be able to bring their characters back in together. So it's not like you can't hop back in together in the future, which I think is quite a good idea. Tom, what do you reckon? Britzza?
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. Hopefully my internet connection is going a bit funny, so hopefully I sound
Can still
okay
hear you.
enough for
You're
listeners.
all right,
But
no robots.
thanks, that's all right, just about. But it's, in fact, in a way, it's kind of reassuring, because one of WoW's problems at launch for Warlords was one of these. And sorry to bring another comparison in that sense, but one of the issues Warlords had was, and Blizzard's solution was to change the phasing for zones so that certain areas you shared with other realms, and then others you didn't, like normal. So I think it's always interesting. I mean, it's one of those things where it brings up the old debate of if you're having a world MMO, should it aim for the ideal closer to everyone on one server than everyone split apart? So I think it's good that they've brought more people together on these servers, but I guess it's just one of those things where they've had to apply the solution. They'll have to see where it goes. But I guess bringing it back to you guys, do you think Wildstar is in a situation where it needs to consider how many players it's bringing onto these mega servers, and like how sort of really should it try and aim for fewer servers, or is it doing well sort of as is at the moment?
I suppose without knowing how many people they've got and how many each server can hold, I don't really know the answer to that. I guess only they know. They know how many people the mega servers can hold.
Infinite.
Yeah. I don't. Without being
Every player
being too technical, I don't know. Because of course we don't know whether they might have been planning, to hold 500,000 people, and they've ended up having 1 million people on. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We don't know how many extra people they've had
That's
and how
fair
many
enough.
people they're expecting.
I'm just throwing it out there because I mean, like any MMO, it's going to be a bit of a.
Oh, is he gone? He must have gone.
Hello?
Hello, Tom.
No, I'm
Oh,
still
yeah,
here. Sorry,
yeah.
go on. I'll stop.
Can you hear me, Major Tom?
you left a little bit. What I like about the mega servers,
I'm lost in the Nexus.
you're still there, I can hear you. What I like about the mega servers is, especially if you're part of the Wildstar community, the content creators, talking to people, listen to the podcast. If they're in the EU, they're on the same server as me. So quite often I'll be in game, and there'll be people like Carrot will sort of hop in. I'll see them in game, and Idistinia over in France, and people that I have kind of communications with over Twitter and on YouTube and things like that, I get to see in game, because there isn't that kind of we're not all vastly spread out over several different servers. I know we don't see the guys over in the NA, but apart from that, if you're on the PvE server in the EU, then we can all hook up together, which is what I like about the mega servers.
And I'm actually on the EU servers because I just love you people so much.
You see, are you on Jabbit?
Yes, I am.
You're on Jabbit. See, why are you not on my friends list?
I don't think I've told you that I was on it until this moment.
You see, we need to make that happen. That needs to happen.
We do. Yes, I would love to kill things with you.
Yes, let's do that. let's do it.
It's the best way to be friends. Let's kill things non-stop. And actually, that's another beautiful thing about Wildstar. For new people coming in, one of the best little things about this game is that there's a chance, and it often does happen a lot, when you're fighting things, they will explode in a beautiful display of silly, cartoony, fleshy things, which it's not as gory as it might sound, but it's really pleasing when you're when you're gonna kill something. Yeah, when you're gonna kill something, and that one last sword stroke, and it's like, yeah.
But and of course, the other good thing about being a new player is that you can play in instances with some of your friends that might be level 50s. You can hop into instances, and everyone gets sort of shrank down to the same level. Which is quite nice as a newbie, I think. People haven't necessarily got to jump on alts. You can stay on your main, but play with your friends who are maybe only level 20, which is nice. I think that's a nice, refreshing change as well in MMOs. It kind of means that everyone can still play together. Nice.
Oh, and there's also just another quick thing that I discovered too was I tend to be a big kind of soloist because I'm a bit of a solitary lone wolf curmudgeon type, but I was actually quite pleased, and I know it's an oxymoron for an MMO. It's like, you don't like being around people? No, but yeah, I just like questing, and because usually in WoW, because of the way it's set up with the tagging system, other people tend to annoy me because they steal my kills, they steal my everything, and it's just like, oh, well, why the hell do I want to bother helping you? Because I'm gonna get nothing from this. And it's just like, people, go away. Let me quest alone. I'm happiest in WoW when there's like no one around and it's just me in the game. It's like, which I know is not what developers want. And I'm like, but I like it that way. But my tangent.
You love MMOs where you play solo.
I do, yes. But because there's also a big RPG part of it, which a lot of people forget. It's like, well, the RPG is just as important as the MMO. And I like being solitary in. But anyway, my long tangent was just to say that I was I don't know if you can do this with the actual dungeons, but the ship hands at least, which are kind of like mini dungeons, I was really happy to find out I could do those solo.
Yes.
I was so excited about it. I was like, yes, I can dungeon level without douchebags in Elevar.
You could probably try and sell the dungeons, but it'd probably end up horribly.
Probably, yeah, because the dungeons in Wildstar are actually fairly
very
tough.
challenging. Yes, very challenging. But the ship hands, no, you can hop in on your own. I quite like doing that. It's often fun. And also, when you're leveling, if you tag something and someone else tags something, doesn't matter. You both get the XP from it, and you haven't got to be partied up, which is nice as well. You don't have to be annoyed by the people being around.
And it's so funny, right? Because like Guild Wars 2 has that system as well, which makes you like other players and want to be around other players and help other players.
Because you get to kill things quicker.
Yeah, well, you get to kill things quicker, and also if you're questing, you both get the item you're going for. You don't have to wait for it to respawn. Whereas when I try to explain this to people in WoW, a lot of people in WoW, when I'm playing it, and I try telling them this, they're kind of like, oh, just go back to that or something. Or they don't get it. They're like, what? So they're going to steal it? Oh, so this is like Care Bear land? And I'm like, what? How can you people not understand how this traditional system in WoW makes you hate other players? Why is Blizzard not implementing this more?
To be honest, there's a lot that Wildstar could learn from WoW can learn from Wildstar. I mean, just the scaling content. I mean, that's the rumor that adventure mode's going to be, that you'll be able to go into world zones with players and sort of scale down to each other's levels. But like you say, I think this whole idea of just being able to connect with players regardless of level is key, because the real problem with WoW at the moment is the connection only happens when you're at max level. and then you have all these barriers. Like LFR is random as getting together. You have more and more random people getting together. When it's not a connection in that sense, it's not sociable in the same way that, you know, like you say, if you're able just to join players at any level of content, you can actually just have a lot more sociable experience for yourself. And basically I'm just repeating what you said. It's just WoW's in a really antisocial phase right now, and the garrisons are probably the cornerstone of that at the moment. And I think that's something else that's really going to help Wildstar's survivability. I think having an actual MMO where you feel like you're actually in an MMO is something that you can use right now.
Exactly, and that's the thing we haven't kind of touched on yet. But one of the concerns I had for Wildstar when I first started was the housing, because they've got the housing so right, and it's so immersive when you're building your houses. I thought no one's ever going to leave these. You know, they're never going to go into the town. They're always going to be in their house. But in fact, because they've done it so right and so well, it's created completely the opposite. It's given players in the community the ability to create and share what they've made with the world. You know, with housing competitions, with the hoverboard races that people put on, and the world ball and things. The crazy things that people have created within their housing plots that have just made it so much more of an MMO game. So whereas, you know, most housing in MMOs takes people away from the players, Wildstar housing has actually given, you know, our peers and everybody that likes to be around other players sort of that extra connection, which is special.
I love it because it's like the housing system is so, as you said, well done and spot on Wildstar, that it feels like, I'm not a huge kind of housing person in need of it, but it feels like it's like a separate mini game to the actual game itself. And so it's really cool knowing that it's kind of, once I've like exhausted all of the cool like PV stuff, and I'm not a PvPer, so when I've exhausted all that stuff that I want to do, it's like I have this massive thing that I can just go in and chill out in and like go crazy with like the stuff people have done. And the housing is truly, like, some of it is just like, whoa.
Some people are scarily good at it. Scarily good at it.
Yeah.
And I think the thing with player housing is it has to be you have to be able to personalize it.
Yeah.
I mean, WoW never had that with garrisons. It was purely functional. I mean, you could place buildings in roughly different places maybe and choose the buildings, but at the end of the day, it was there to replace professions, replace, you know, crafting and things like that. It was never there for you to actually feel, God, you know, this is my garrison. It was a garrison that you ran. Whereas Wildstar, you do have that character, and like, you know, as you've done recently, Draycass, with the player housing competitions, things like that, people can put their own sort of heart and soul into these things and relax in them. And I think that's something that I genuinely have not seen in any MMO. You know, it's just really nice. It really is really nice just to see that, and I'm looking forward to getting involved with that.
Well, they haven't done anything that makes you have to be there, but people want to be there, which is the difference.
Exactly.
Different way round.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because you have
like
to
a
be
purely-
in the garrison.
Yeah.
Trapped to it.
And you don't want to be.
Well, actually, no, it's kind of funny. I've actually come full circle to actually liking what Warlords was, just because, well, again, I'm just a naturally antisocial, hermity creature anyways, but I was kind of like, I actually like, because it's funny, like I like the way different MMOs can balance each other, because that very old style system of combat and WoW can actually feel very kind of like just take your brain off for a few minutes, and it's just very kind of relaxing to kind of do this very simple style. And if I want something actually that's actually, you know, challenging, I could go into like Wildstar or something, where it's like, wow, is this there for dum-de-dum? It's like, you know, a little stroll through the woods, where it's like Wildstar's more like actually like, okay, let's freaking fight something.
In your face.
Yeah, and it's more like there's like, well, for me, I find it's balancing, but yeah, Britzza, it's frightening how. Sorry to keep bringing up WoW every now and then, but it is frightening how out of touch Blizzard devs can be on what their community wants and likes, and it's a real bout of the hat to Carbine that they just, right from the get-go, they were like, people are always demanding housing. Well, let's not just give them housing, let's give them every possible option customization possible in your housing, and we've got like a shred of the size of the amount of devs that WoW has. So like everybody in the Warlords experience were like, but they've doubled their gigantic team and we're getting nothing. What the hell's happening here? So yeah, it was there was great unrest in the WoW community about, and
they still want player housing. They kind of got player housing, but not the player housing they want.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like it's so funny, right? Because like Blizzard watches other MMOs, and like they could so easily do some kind of housing like Wildstar. It's like, guys, just like get off your giant colonnades and pretentious. It's like, well, it has to fit into the story. Just make that frickin' housing somewhere, you know, like that's what people want. And it's like, again, like the Wildstar thing, just as you're saying, it's like a separate thing that you don't need to succeed in Wildstar for PvP or PvE, and it's just purely fun, you know. And I really do think MMORPGs miss out if they don't have a solid housing system like that for you to go in and say, this little piece of dirt in this game, digital dirt is mine. And it's like, people like that. They want to have their little
feeling. I quite often used to claim things in Stormwind when I was in WoW. I'd be like, right, this is mine. It's like, do you remember off on the corner, I think it was like in the northwest corner, there's like a little island with a little hut on it. Our guild kind of claimed that. So that was our hut. We had to go in there and sit and chill. It wasn't quite the same, but you know, we tried our best. We went off on a complete tangent there. Don't know what happened. Yeah, sorry. It was quite fun, but I don't know what happened.
It was probably because of me. Sorry about that.
No, it wasn't. I think it was one of us. It was fine. I just want to quickly cover the login queues, because I'd imagine when this podcast goes out, there will still be some login queues. They said on the stream that they were expecting to see a lot more people over the weekend, and there were still long queues. But what they have said is they've made some changes to make it a little bit easier for people. So once you're in the queue, your spot's going to be saved, so you can't. So even if you close the client, go to the store, go and have a workout, go and have something to eat, etc. As long as you're back before you're next in line, you're not going to lose your spot, which is quite nice. So if it comes up and it says you've got like an hour wait, you can go off, do something else, come back, and you won't lose your spot, which was nice. So if you disconnect from the game, you'll get right back into the game and skip the queue. So again, if you have a random kick, or your dog pulls the plug out of your computer or something, you can hop straight back in and you won't have to sit in the queue if you've already queued. And they've said that because your place is always held in the queue, the time will not always be accurate, and the larger the queue, the more people that aren't actually in front of you. I think that basically means, it might say there are 4,000 people in front of you, there might not actually be 4,000 people in front of you. It tends to go down a lot quicker than you think it does. That's what I've found anyway. It says I've got a 50-minute queue and I've been in within sort of 10-20 minutes. So it's not so bad. So that's a nice little quality of life change they've done to people. So they are thinking about people in this queue. You're not on your own in this queue. We're all in this together.
Everybody hug.
Everybody have a big hug. Also, they did say they're seeing a lot less EU support tickets in NA. And they're not sure whether that's because there's less problems in the NA, or whether people in the in the EU, or it's just that people in the EU don't complain as much, which is probably about right, isn't it, Britzza? Because we tend to suffer in silence and just kind of grumble about it, and then don't actually complain about it to anybody, unless it's the weather. So if there is a problem,
silently grumbling.
Silently grumbling. Yeah,
it's the British way now, sorry.
So if you're having any issues, please let them know. Put in a ticket. Let them know your troubles, and they will try and fix it for you.
Be assertive, like North America.
Yes. If you're having any random crashes to your launcher and things like that, then also let them know in the forums or on social media, so that they can look into it. And in terms of server transfers, they did have to take them down temporarily because they were causing server crashes, and they weren't functioning properly. But that has now been resolved, so you should be able to hop onto the transfers. That's probably about it. They've turned it all back on. Hopefully it's working. So if you want to transfer to other servers, give that a go. So that's it. Is there anything else either of you want to say before we move on to our outro?
Yeah.
No.
Just say well done, Carbine, for actually, having a fairly okay launch.
It's not as bad as what people think it is.
Yeah, that's about it, really. I think it's really exciting, and exactly. It's not as bad. It's just the sort of very angry minority having some problems, and I think at the end of the day, once we've got through this, it's really gonna boost Wildstar.
Yes.
New players in, I think they'll keep them, and I'm really excited by how much it's going to grow.
I think as long if this carries on for maybe 4 weeks, that might be a slightly different problem. But as long as
they burn it all.
yeah.
Burn the house
But
down.
it's already made. They've already made a huge difference. The game is much more playable than it was when it first launched. So hop in and give it a go.
Yeah, because it was always like a really high quality game that just needed that extra bit of polish that they've been working on, and I think it really shows, like, especially with the actual creation screen update to creating your characters, like that's what it always needed, because and it was really great. It was kind of something you never really thought it needed, but that improvement to it, just all of it, with like the actual story sequences on the ARC ships. I mean, I love how they actually inserted that little bit of the actual main story so early on. That little hint that just is like fantastic, because that really gets to go ooh, as opposed to being detached from the main story. It's just dropping that little like taste and that little whip on the bum like that so early is just
Gives you a bit of intrigue.
yeah, and it just makes you feel more connected to it, and just they just tightened up all the cylinders and polished it all, spit and polished it really nicely. So the girls and the positive of all of this drama, so to speak, of the lag and the numbers is it's just fantastic to see that many people showing interest.
Yes.
because like Dre, I'm sure you've had to put up with a lot of this. Is this Wildstar in particular got a hell of a lot of bashing from other MMORPG players and just in the MMO genre, and it was always frustrating trying to defend it. People be like, "No, dude, it's dead." It's like, "Oh, so you played for a month after it launched?" It's like, "Yeah, it's totally dead." And it's like, "Well, it hasn't been that way throughout."
There's lots of those about.
Yeah, so like it's been frustrating to do that, because like even like 4 months ago, people be like, "Well, it's still dead. I log in, there's no one on there." It's like, I don't know what game you're playing, because whenever I was logging in, I'd run into the average person as much as I did when I was playing WoW, and when I went to the Ilium, I would find a whole bunch of people running around, and the channels were active, and I was like, "What game are you playing?" When these people are saying, "Well, I just did it yesterday," and there's nobody.
It's because they were playing at like 3 o'clock in the morning on the PvP
probably.
server. That's normally what happens.
Yeah, there you go. Wow, yeah, people. Sorry, yeah, that's my.
But it's
rant
there.
on that.
That's what I said on Twitter a couple of days ago. I said it was refreshingly nice to be sitting in a queue, because it meant that lots of people were playing Wildstar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a positive. 'Cause that's what we needed. We needed extra players, and we've got them. Now we need to give them a big hug and keep them. So welcome,
Just
one
need-
and all.
Just need to make sure the tied down knots are nice and tight. And
Yeah, but you can't leave. That's it. You're here now. You're not leaving. That's it.
we'll give you massages. Don't worry. Don't worry about the bondage.
We'll feed you every so often. Yeah.
Exactly. And the chairs have toilets in them, so you'll be fine.
You don't even have to move. So that's it. We have been Geeks of Nexus. I've got some 5-star reviews to go to. Thank you very much for everyone that's left 5-star reviews. We've got 2 in the UK from Frankly Green, or if I can speak, Frankly Green and Casper Jones. And over on the USA, we had Pactor99-K, which is a great name, Susan777, Nut1, not quite sure what that's a reference to, but Nut1, and Trizzo55 and Lily. So thank you very much for your 5-star reviews. I have been Draycass, and we have had the lovely Britzza. Britzza, where can we find you on the interwebs and other things?
You can find me on Twitter at Britzza_EG, and if you still play WoW, and you haven't heard Geeks of Azeroth, by all means join us, like Geeks of Nexus, just talk quickly about WoW. And surprisingly, we actually do have things things to talk about. It's not all just waiting for this expansion. So, yeah. Other than that, you can find me around sort of Epic Geeks and on the YouTubes. So, yeah, I'm usually floating around within the near vicinity.
Floating around the near vicinity, I like that. Yes. And Akasaurus Rex, where can we find you on the interwebs?
Mostly on YouTube and the Twitters. I'm starting roughly this week to actually make videos again because I've had a long, dry spell with personal life drama, and now finally I can start making some videos again.
And real life, yay, gaming.
Yeah, no, real life isn't fun. I actually was like commenting how last weekend I guess was TwitchCon, and Guild Wars 2 had a big kind of like massive like panel fest, and everyone in the community was like, yeah, excited. And just to give you an example how messed up my life is, it's like I was looking forward to it and everything. Like the 2 days they had this on, the first day, because I'm actually legally blind, and I ran straight into a metal pole just before I got home to watch the thing.
Wow.
So it was like, I'm really excited, but you know, if you've been hit in the head by metal pole, that's how it feels. So I'm kind of like, hey, ooh. And then like the day following that, after a whole bunch of panels, like, yay, great. I like went out to get food, and this drunk native guy actually tried to fight me and like punch me and stuff. And it's like,
so when you said these guys try and fight you weren't joking, they actually do.
I'm not joking. People try to mess with me and fight with me, which usually doesn't work because I'm actually kind of largish. I'm about 5'11", over 200 pounds. So
people always want to try and fight the big guys, so don't they? That's the thing. That's what I've found.
And yeah, and this guy waddled away pretty quick because when I'm angry, my loud voice comes out, and I don't bring that out very often. I have a very roarish, and that's why I play Warriors, because I literally do have like decades of rage from annoying people. That is like, out. Don't push me, I will destroy you. Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. And Guild Wars, of course. You've got your Guild Gab. Guild Gab. Is that on iTunes and on YouTube?
I believe it's mostly on Aurora Peachy's YouTube channel. She usually is the one that's hosting it on, and we film it live on Thursdays on her Twitch, Aurora Peachy's Twitch. On Thursdays.
If you're a Guild Wars fan, go and check out Guild Gab. You can find me on Twitter at Draycass. Also, our Epic Geeks website is going through a little bit of a redevelopment at the moment, so you might find it kind of down or have funny things on it for a couple of days. Don't worry, we'll be back better with a new facelift, won't we, Britzza? And on that note, if you want to join Epic Geeks, we are looking for extra content creators. If you're a podcaster or a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer and you want to help us out, create an awesome gaming community, then contact us at the Epic Geeks Podcast at gmail.com, or contact any of us on Twitter, and just let us know and get in contact. We'd love to hear from you. So that's it. We have been the Geeks of Nexus. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
See you.
Tom's gone.
Tom. Where did you go? Is there something wrong?
Here. Just say goodbye. No. Tom says bye.
Bye.
There he is.
There he is.
This podcast is part of the Epic Geeks Network. To find out more about our other gaming podcasts, head to epicgeeks.co.uk.